Hey guys, this is Chelsea Shaffer, and this is The Score. This is the Team Roping Journal's venture into the world of podcasting. On this show, you'll be able to bring the Team Roping World's movers and shakers on the road or to the office with you. They'll be telling stories and talking through some of the issues facing this sport. As the editor of the Team Roping Journal, I'll be your host. Twice a month, you can look forward to an in-depth interview with guys like Aaron Tsinigine, Trevor Brazil, and Billy Jack Sabins, who happen to be the stars of our first 3 episodes. I'll also have special guests from the World Series of Team Roping and the USTRC, as well as producers to update you on new events, procedures, and rules. Our first guest is Aaron Tsinigine, who won the world in 2015, splitting the title with Colin Van On. Since then, he's done battle on the road, but hasn't earned a trip back to the finals. After a rough 2016 that began an ERA competition and ended with an 18th place finish in the PRCA, Tsinigine had an even rougher 2017. He and the partner that got him to that 2015 title, Ryan Moats, split up, and his great horse Smudge got hurt. For the first time in years, Tsinigine went home in August. But the year didn't end on a terrible note. He won second at the U.S. Finals with Clint Summers. And this year, he and his new partner, Kyle Lockett, started the year off with a win at Denver's National Western Stock Show and Rodeo. Aaron's a pretty quiet guy, but he's got a pretty interesting take on the mental side of the team roping industry. And I think there's a lot that he has to say that's really valuable, especially to the amateur team ropers struggling with confidence going down the road. Why was Kyle always your bucket list healer? Why did you always want him to heal for you?
When I watched him on TV with Wade Wheatley, man, that guy was so cool to watch. He'd just come around there and get him every time, and he was kind of a go for first all the time kind of guy, and he did it consistently. And then I got to rope with him in 2013 out in California, and we won like 15,000 out there, which is good for a California run. And we roped good together, and ever since then we've been good friends. And even when I won the world, I'd call him every night after the rodeo, and he's seen it on TV, so he could see everything I did wrong, and he'd tell me what I did wrong. And Walt Woodard was the other one too that I'd talk to every morning. Same routine the next morning, 10 o'clock, I'd call both of them and be on the phone with them for about an hour, 2 hours, and go through the motions and what I'm supposed to be doing. So he's kind of been a coach to me, and even just with my confidence, because that's the biggest thing rodeoing is having confidence. And so he's always, I mean, he'll tell you the truth. That's one thing I like about him. He won't lie. When you're doing something wrong, he ain't gonna make no excuses for you to try to make it sound like it was just an accident. He always said, hey, you did this wrong. I mean, you know, it makes you want to do better next time.
The night you won the world, I was thinking about that not long ago. You were not on most of the people's what ifs or the possible scenarios that could happen. Did you go back into the box knowing that you were going to give yourself the best shot at a world title?
Well, the night before, I sat there and did the math for every scenario. I mean, I sat there for 2-3 hours going through it, and it boiled down to me having a chance. I had to move up 1 spot in the average. If I wanted to go around and everything stayed the same, I would have lost it by a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 or something. So I knew I just had to move up 1 time. So I kind of had it all. Even if I moved up to 5th in the average, I had it panning out that JoJo and Lovell still had to be 4.6 or 4.7 to still beat me, and they were doing so good in the average. I didn't, it could have happened anyway. But so Rogers was ahead of me by 5 seconds in the average, and he broke the barrier, and they were 5 flat. So I ended up having to be 5 flat to move up 1 spot in the average. So I knew if I went to the lead in the round, that'd give me a chance to win the world. And whatever, them guys, I had no control over them. So when I backed in there, I wasn't really nervous, because when you don't have a chance, you always wish, I wish I had that chance. I wish I could just have that one chance. and that was my one chance. It was given to me. My back was against the wall. I had nothing to lose. I was 6th in line at the world title for the heading that year, so I had nothing to lose. And I wasn't scared, and I went at him as fast as I could.
So after all the chips fell, where were you when they told you? Did you know you had won the world?
I knew it was either close between Luke, Derek, and me. The year before, when I made the finals, there's a guy that runs up to the tent and grabs a world champs and takes him. So I was trying to, me and Sherwood and Rogers were trying to do the math, and I remember Sherwood, I said, man, I think Begay or Luke got me by like 5,000, but I forgot I hadn't moved it. I moved up 2 spots in the average, so I moved from 6th to 4th. So it was close, so I just rode my horse to the back of the tent so I could see that guy running. So I was sitting back there, and the guy wasn't coming. He finally ran in, and he's looking, and I'm in plain sight where you can see me. He's looking, he's trying to see who he's looking for. So I finally start riding my horse that way. And when he locks eyes with me, he's like, hey, come on. And that's when I knew I won it.
Was there a pit in your stomach while you were watching it? Like, I feel like I can feel a pit in my stomach thinking about that moment.
It's like backing in there at the BFI second callback, and you got to go be 8-9 seconds on this steer. And I try to get in there and get out of there as fast as I can for big money. That way you don't get to thinking about it. And then once you go, everything it's like a magnet. You just get there as fast as you can and do your job. And so it's kind of like a slingshot to me. So when he was standing there at the door, it was like that. I had the same feeling, like, is it going to be me? Is it going to be me?
But it was Colin, not Ryan. So were you really conflicted that night?
Yeah, when the guy came and got me, we automatically thought Ryan won it. So he's happy, everybody's happy. We're running down the tunnel after that guy. Well, the guy never tells Ryan it's not him. I guess they had already got Colin down there. Mm. And Brady Minor says, Ryan, you didn't win it, Colin won it. And Ryan's like, oh man, that's exactly what he said. And the guy's pulling me, making me go, and it's like you're about to see this person for the last time, and you got to go. You're like, you got to get on the train to go, and we're just looking at each other. I'm like, oh man, my heart kind of sunk a little bit. But yeah.
Is there like any sort of bond with Colin? Like, he will forever be the guy that you won the world with, even though you didn't win the world with him. Like, are you guys friends at all?
We are good friends, and when we won the world that night, we were having the time of our lives. But to me, it feels like, no matter me and Ryan, we quit roping together. He's always going to be the guy that helped me win the world. And Colin's got 2 championships. He might win another one again, but we're good buds, and it was. For him, he said it was pretty special to him because you just win one, and when you win another one, it's like, I won another one.
Yeah, like it wasn't an accident.
Yeah, it wasn't an accident.
And so Ryan's always going to be the person you won the world with, and Smudge is always going to be the horse you won the world on.
Smudge is always going to be, I think he's a top 5 horse ever. That's what I think about him.
Why?
Oh, because there's not, how many horses can you take and have a chance to win the BFI and win a world title on in a little building? You go from a big arena to a little arena. You got Walt, you got Scooter. What other horses were there? You got Thumper.
Do.
There's not many horses that can do that and be the best one there doing that.
Take me back to, he has the Western States brand on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, did the Adams then, they raised him?
The Adams bought him as a 2 or 3 year old, and I think on his papers he's actually out of Oklahoma. is where Smudge is out of. And the Adams had him, and they had him for sale over there in Reno at their sale. And Kirby Anderson bought him as a 4-year-old. Yep.
And so Kirby had him for how long?
Kirby had him till he was 10, 11. And I got him. He's 16 this year.
Where did you first see Smudge? How did you first find out about Smudge?
The Kirby always, he kind of ran the Dynamite Arena for a while right there in Cave Creek. He always flagged on this horse and he roped on him all the time. The horse got better and better, and it was like, this horse when he left the box, he had a real spooky, running kind of attitude, and he would run up there and his eyes would be so big, and he could just always do it from the time I seen him. Kirby asked me to, we got to be friends, and he asked me to take that, he asked me if I wanted to take that horse and maybe sell him for him. And he said, I'll give you a percentage, whatever you sell him for, but he said, if you hurt him or anything happens to him, you owe me of what he's worth. So I'm a kid, I didn't have money then, and I'm already in debt, so I'm like, man, this is going to put me back at that time. With the amount of money he wanted for him was going to, I couldn't get my hands on that for at least 10 years when that deal was going on. So I said no, I couldn't do it. And I think 2 or 3 years went by. 2012, I went home after Missoula, Montana, and I was fined up about $4,000. And I said, I'm not coming back out here again unless I have the best head horse I know I can win on, because I'm tired of getting beat by Clay Trine's got all the best horses, Derek Begay's got all the best horses, Chad Masters got all the best horses, and that's why they dominate. So I said, I'm not going to do it until I had the best horse. So when I remembered that horse, I called him. We started working on the deal around Christmas time. I called him and told him, hey, I'll sell that horse for you. I said, I want to come try him, see what he is. He said, yeah. So I tried him the day before Christmas, and I went home to the res for Christmas, and I picked him up the day after Christmas. And we went to 4 jackpots that week, and I was first high call at 3 of the 4. And so it took me from a mediocre hitter to all of a sudden a dominant one. And so I told Kirby, I'll try to sell him for you, or I'll find the money to pay you. And that's how I ended up with him.
Did he pay for himself when you won U.S. finals that year?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was supposed to actually pay him off by the end of the rodeo season. And I was getting a little nervous about the deal. And I ended up 16th or 17th that year. So I was headed home from Pendleton, and I was like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I owe a lot of money on this horse deal. This guy's gonna take this horse away, and he's gonna sell him for 3 times what the original plan was. Like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't know where I'm gonna get the money, and I'm stressing out. I remember I was around Page Coppermine area, and headed back to Albuquerque and them, and Kirby called me. I'm like, oh, this is it. So we started talking for a while. He says, hey, bad deal. Cleo's horse went down over there. Should have made the NFR. I said, that horse is yours. Belongs to you. We'll figure out a way. You're going to win. You're going to get the money to pay him off. So he said, don't. He says, I know you're probably worried about it right now, but he said, that horse is yours. So we went to the U.S. finals, and we won the U.S. finals and paid him off a month later.
That's awesome. That's like serendipity.
Mm-hmm.
You said something earlier in the day. You were like, I haven't made the finals in 2 years. How frustrating have your last 2 rodeo seasons been?
Well, the first thing I was taught, was Victor Brigade. He's taught me a lot through my rodeo career, and that's probably more the reason why I've succeeded this far. But the first thing he taught me when I went to his house, he said, "You're going to learn how to lose." And I was thinking, I don't want to lose, you know. He says, "No, you're going to learn how to lose, and you'll know why." He said, "That's why all these kids on the reservation, they rope good, they don't get nowhere because they don't know how to lose." Because he said, "You're going to go in a slump. And when you go in that slump, you're going to know how to lose, and you're going to take it a lot better than the way everyone else does." So I think that's helped me a lot. You learn to forget. When you watch the NFR in the stands or on TV in December, it's nobody else's fault but yours. Nobody to blame. So 2016, the year after I won the world, I watched the finals. I ended up 17th by about 2,500. Had a chance to make it at the end, but I roped terrible all year long. And when I finally, that's one thing I think I'm good at, is I can find another gear and find a way how to win. When I finally found that gear, it was a little too late. Whatever. And I think the biggest problem that year was I just got done winning the world, and I just kind of went half-ass and just thought, I'll make it. You know, I'd made it 2 in a row, and kind of took a deep breath and kind of just went along expecting to make it without putting the effort and all that into it. So that's nobody's fault. Well, last year, I wrote bad in the winter. I wrote bad in the summer, and that's why I got cut. And my horse went down, and you gotta have a good horse. You gotta have a good horse to be able to win. And I went home in August last year, and the last time I went home was in 2012. And when I made my decision to go home, I was okay with it. I knew that I needed to go home. I needed to regroup, because a lot of guys get caught up in doing what I did last year, trying to rodeo on mediocre horses, and thinking about, it's a gamble. It's a gamble when you go into rodeo that way, when you're not sure about your horsepower, you're not sure about your partner. That's to me, if I'm thinking like that again, then I'm probably not going to make the NFR. Because before 2014, before I made it, that's the way it was. I shuffled partners around, and it was a gamble. So now, when I went rodeoing this year, the yellow was ready to go, and I felt good about my partner decision, and I don't have the same feeling I had last year.
Should there be like a partner cutting code of ethics? Like, should somebody like put part of like how to switch partners in the rule book of the PRCA? What should a guy do if he wants to change partners? What's the right way to do it?
I think the right way to do it is just straight up tell him, "Hey, I don't want to do it no more." I respect that more than the guy trying to rodeo with me and being half-ass about how I'm doing my job and talking behind my back and all that. I'd just rather him say, "Hey, we're done." And every time I've got cut, it's nobody else's fault but mine. I roped terrible, and that's why we've got to this point. I'm the same way. I mean, I have to win, and if I rope with the same partner for a long time and then I ain't winning like I want to, I'm gonna change.
Do you rope better? So there's guys on the road that have to win to keep rodeoing, and there's guys on the road that can keep staying on the road. Who do you think has a mentally easier time? Which position do you think? I mean, I don't know if you can say because you've never been in the other position, but like, which position do you think is mentally easier to win in?
I don't know. If you come from what you're saying, if like people with money, I think for me, like this is bad. When I get to winning and a little bit of money and I start feeling comfortable, it's almost like I start giving up. rather than my back's against the wall and I'm broke and I need to win. Because I've roped that way since I've been a kid. And I didn't always win like I needed to. But now, if when my back's against the wall, I do the best. And so I don't know. I don't know if I answered that question or if I really can.
No, I think you answered that question.
Hey guys, I'm just going to chime in here and let you know that Erin's border collie, Hattie, she jumped in the truck right around this time. You're not going to want to miss this part, but hang in there through the squeaks. She had a squeaky toy that she thought was a lot of fun, and the audio equipment picked it up very well. Sorry about that. We'll get better next time. But in the meantime, enjoy.
When did you take your gold buckle off?
I don't know. When my stomach started kind of hanging over it, I guess.
Was there a day where you were like, I can't wear this anymore? Or
Well,
did you slowly start to not wear it?
I actually kept getting it cleaned, and it looks so nice when they clean it. It looks like it's brand new. And I wore it to one dinner, and after that I said I'm going to leave it looking nice, so I took it off. And half of it was just, I've been doing terrible, and I feel like it shouldn't be this way, but when I'm wearing it, you feel like, hey, I'm somebody, and you kind of take things for granted instead of remembering where you started and where you come from and how you got there. So you start to take shortcuts. I think that's the way it makes me feel. So when I put the old one on, I mean, I guess it helps make me feel like I'm still trying to get somewhere. And it helps me. That kind of sounds bad, but really, I mean, I'm not lying. That's really how it made me feel. And plus, the one I'm wearing now is lucky.
Was there like a low point that you realized that?
That I was starting to suck?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I get down on myself a lot. And when I quit last year, I went home in August. That was a low point. The only thing that kept me motivated was the last week I quit. I turned 8 out of 9 steers, and about 7 of them were for first. So I knew, but it took me about 3 weeks to actually get back to that point. Roping the dummy every night, every morning, going through the motions, practicing a lot again, stopping at people's houses and practicing. And I think what held me back was my horsepower and the horses I had. I was not used to them yet. And just when I quit, me and the yellow started to figure each other out. So I think half of it's just horsepower. So I didn't really get down on myself. I kind of blamed half of it on horsepower. Because anybody can rope. But if you're not riding the best horses, you don't win as much as you should be.
Erin, thanks for sitting in your truck and visiting with me. Guys, this is the end of our first episode of The Score, the new podcast by the Team Roping Journal. Join us in 2 weeks for the second episode. This one will be with Trevor Brazil. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to hearing from you, maybe on our Facebook page, maybe in an email at cshaffer@amedia.com, and you can let me know what you think of this new venture.